Hey guys, it's the Plant Doctor here. What I want to go over today is how to transplant a Japanese maple from a smaller pot to a larger pot. So we'll go over what time of year to do this, talk about the media that I'm using here. We're going to go over what size pot to go up to, and then at the end of the video we'll talk about a nutrition plan that will keep your Japanese maple nice and healthy. All right, so this is a Benikawa Japanese maple, and you can see here, I'll try to pull this out. It's starting to get a little root bound. You can see here there's some roots that are starting to wrap around the pot, so it's time to bump this up. So the first thing we want to do is select the right size pot. So this is a 1 gallon pot. I'm going to be bumping this up into a 3 gallon pot. Okay, so if it was in a 3, I would go to a 5. If it was in a 5, I'd go to a 7. If it was in 7, I'd go to 10. Just the next size pot up's really all I'm after here. So the first thing we want to do is talk about this media. So this is nothing but pine bark mini nuggets. Okay, this is just shredded pine bark. I get this in bulk from a local supplier. You can buy this by the bag at Lowe's or Home Depot. I'll do my best to leave a link in the description below for some of these products for the fertilizer and the media that we're using here. But the first thing we want to do is fill up the bottom of our pot until the top of the root ball would be at a depth that we want in our new bucket. Okay, so if I hold it here, I would want probably 3 or 4 inches there of soil in the pot. So in the bottom of the pot, I'm just going to add 3 or 4 inches of soil here. All right, so the next thing I want to do is this. I'm going to pull out my Japanese maple. Notice how I'm holding it. Okay, so if you're going to hold it this way, make sure you have your hand on the bottom of it. Never just grab it by the trunk and pull it up that way, because what you could do is actually, in quotations, literally hang your tree. What do I mean by that? All this wet soil and root mass, and you're just holding it by this, it pulls down on the trunk right here, and you could break a lot of roots. So either hold it upside down like this, or keep your hand underneath it at all times. I'm going to place this down in my pot. I'm a little low still. I'm going to add some soil. Maybe a little more. Okay, so now my root ball is maybe a ½ inch below the top of the rim of my new pot. Now that I have my root ball where I want it in terms of height relative to the pot, I can go in and start adding some potting mix. But one thing I need to mention before we add a lot of potting mix, I need to pull this out. If your roots are girdled, okay, so if you see roots that are root bound circling around the soil, massage that root ball and break up some of those roots, okay? That's very important. If not, what's going to happen is those roots will continue to grow in a circular rotation instead of going out through the pot like we want. So I'm just going to finish putting in the rest of my potting mix around the root ball. And I want to get my potting mix level with the top of the root ball. And here again, all this is maybe a ½ inch below the pot, or the rim of the pot. Now that I have it in my new pot, what I want to do is give it some nutrition. What I have here in this little pot is just an equal balance. It's triple 10 fertilizer. But the important thing here is that this is a slow release. All right, so these are 90-day preels. And I just take a handful and I sprinkle it around the top of the pot. Don't use a fertilizer that's a quick release. So if it doesn't say slow release on the bag, chances are it's a quick release fertilizer. Something like straight urea, what you're going to get are these shoots that just grow really fast and they're leggy and they're not going to have good structural integrity. Use a slow release fertilizer. Don't use products like liquid fertilizer, so like a liquid Miracle Grow. It's a great product for a lot of things, not for something that we're trying to grow a little bit on the slow side. The slower you can grow your Japanese maple, the stronger those limbs are going to be. We don't want leggy limbs that are flapping around in the breeze and break real easy, okay? So use a slow release and you're going to be good. You can do this about any time of year. Ideally, coming out of dormancy is the best time to do this. Today is April the 20th. I really should have done this about a month ago. As long as you're not doing this, especially if you're massaging those root balls in July and August when it's really, really hot outside, you should be okay. All right, so that's just one thing to keep in mind with this. And so we will let this plant grow out for probably another whole year in this pot. And then we'll put it in a 5 and put it in a 7. I may put it in the yard. I may put it in an ornamental pot and have it somewhere out here on the patio. I haven't really made up my mind yet. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor. It means a lot to us here on the channel. We're growing exponentially now. We're 20, 30 new subs a day. Watch time hours are through the roof. It's been really fun, and that's all because of you guys. So thank you once again, and until next time, happy gardening.